Hello, everyone. Welcome to this community forum on what we think is a very, very important topic. Good news for the entire community and a real statement about the importance of collaboration and working together. I'm Dave Myers. I'm a senior fellow here at the Berks County Community Foundation. We host these periodic community forums on important topics or topics of interest to the community. We asked you to keep your camera on, but mute your microphone during the session. We do record the session. We will share the recording with everybody who registered for the event. We also post it on the Community Foundation YouTube website, and we share it with BCTV. We asked you to use the chat function at the bottom of the screen to submit your comments and questions. We'll get to those after we get done with the formal presentation. Any ones that we don't get time to get to, I will send on to the presenters and have them reply, and we'll share those with people as well. So we do want to thank you for being here. We think this topic is really significant and important. I keep disappearing. But I'm pleased to introduce Stacey Keppen, who is the president and CEO of the Reading Housing Authority, and Stacey is going to lead us through this presentation today. So Stacey, to you.
Thank you, Dave. And hello all. We're thrilled to be joining today's forum to share this exciting project with you. So sorry. We're thrilled to be in this, joining you for this exciting project, and I'll start by introducing myself. As Dave noted, my name is Stacey Keppen, and I'm the president and CEO of Reading Housing Authority. You'll hear from Bill Clemens, who is our program manager at the Oakbrook Center for Community Services, Nydia Runkle, who's our South Campus property manager, which includes Oakbrook Homes, Alyssa Bushke, CEO of Opportunity House, and Yesenia Vasquez, program director at the Patton Avenue Learning Center. We're here today to share our excitement regarding the Oakbrook Center for Community Services, which serves primarily, but not exclusively, the residents of Oakbrook Homes. In case you're unfamiliar, Oakbrook Homes is the largest public housing property in our stock, with 530 units of 1 to 5 bedroom houses. Located in the 18th ward of the city of Reading, this community is home to more than 1,800 residents, nearly half of whom are children. The most common family design is that of a single female household. The community is 85% Latino and 89% extremely low income. In public housing nationwide, it's common for a campus to include interior community space for residents to use and enjoy as part of their housing experience. But Oakbrook Homes has not had that resource for more than 50 years. It's been our goal to correct for that for a long time, and it was never more apparent as to how dire the need was than following the pandemic, when incomes plummeted and residents became desperate to get back to work, and we had nowhere to deliver services on site to help bridge that divide. Oakbrook has long been referred to as an island, part of the city of Reading, but 3.2 miles from downtown where most services are delivered. So for families with children, and little to, in some cases, no income and no transportation, it truly was a call to action for us. In order to solve this dilemma, our team at Reading Housing Authority took stock of our existing property, and this assessment resulted in an adaptive reuse of 2 buildings. The first, an underutilized property management building, and second, a giant brick shell that had once housed the neighborhood central boiler plant. If money could be found to do so, what we would do is that we would repurpose these buildings. 1001 Scott Street would become a neighborhood resource center to be used exclusively for resident services. The second building, the brick shell, would receive a fit out of 3 floors. The upper floors to become the new property management home, and the mid and lower floors would address the #1 barrier for most households, which was the absence of nearby affordable childcare for parents seeking to go to or go back to work. We knew that we also needed to address the fairly neglected exterior space, but determined that we'd table that for another phase. So that was 2021. And what came next was nearly 2 years of resource development. And before we move into the people and the funding and the services and our vital supporters, we'd love to take you on a virtual tour, compliments of Berks County Community Television. So with that, I'm going to move on to a video. So if you'll just give me a second to do so. I'll pause for a second to make certain that viewers can hear the audio. Is that working? Okay, good.
Welcome to the Oakbrook Homes Neighborhood Resource Center. We're going to take you inside and take you on a tour of our new facility. Here is our digital messaging board. This board is used to notify the residents of Oakbrook of the upcoming events that we have. We ask from our partners to provide the information such as the dates, the times, locations, so that way when the residents come in and they see this, they know exactly where the event is going to be at. Such you see now, Tech Central in the upcoming ESL classes, the date of the registration, the time the class is going to start. We thought that the messenger board itself would be a good idea because after hours, you are able to see this at nighttime when they're coming through, the kids are playing basketball, or if the residents are walking through the parking lot. The messenger board itself was donated to us by one of our partners, by remarked childcare. This messenger board, along with several other messenger boards across our properties. All of the slides that appear on the messenger board are streamed not only here, but also on the RHA website. And here we are looking for sponsors to help create a mural to capture the beauty of the Oakbrook community area. So the current space that we're standing in is the resident council's office and my office. My role here as a program manager is to facilitate different programs. We have a workforce development program that is being taught by Reading Area Community College. We have a high-set program that is being conducted by Tech Central, and we also have a chess club that is being run by the Million Youth Chess Club. I also have a calendar event for each of the different rooms that you will see as we continue to go through the building. The most important part of the building is that the residents of Oakbrook Homes are making use of every space. Here you will see the resident council office.
In public housing, resident councils are considered the united voice of the community. And for the last 25 years, residents of Oakbrook Homes have actually been meeting in a decommissioned house. Sometimes there were 20, 30, 40 people crammed into what had been a 5-bedroom house to hold meetings. The kickoff of the Oakbrook Homes Center for Community Services was that we were able to provide space for meetings. The elected officers of the Oakbrook Resident Council actually have an office here so that residents and their neighbors are able to stop by and provide feedback to the leadership and to participate in contributing to ideas for meeting activities. So this is the space that the officers will meet for their jobs as president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Transportation is a huge obstacle to residents of Oakbrook Homes. And at the top of that list for what is challenging when you don't have a car is it's getting for groceries. Oakbrook Homes has long been known as a food desert, and on top of that, food insecurity is one of the leading challenges facing households in Oakbrook Homes. Sourcing a partner to meet that need was extremely important in this undertaking, and through our work pounding the pavements of the city of Reading, established businesses, we identified a grocer to occupy space right here in our new neighborhood resource center. So come on in, let me show you the grocery. El Encanto Grocery in Oakbrook Homes was an opportunity for El Encanto Bakery to expand from its flagship location at 8th and Oley. With this new grocery, it was important that we found the good stuff that maybe our kids and our families might come in the door for, but that it was really important that families had access to quality, nutritious, affordable food. Throughout this grocery, what you will see is that there's a little bit of everything. There's the good stuff, the fun stuff, there's household staples, but there's also plentiful fresh proteins, fruits and vegetables, eggs, bread, things that on a daily basis people would need within a walking distance opportunity.
In addition to El Canto grocery store, Reading Housing Authority also offers a client choice food pantry.
Oakbrook Homes was built in 1953, and this building was the original property management and recreation center. Through the construction of the Neighborhood Resource Center, it was important to us to preserve both the history and then be able to spotlight what made this renovation and this new opportunity possible for the residents of Oakbrook Homes. One of the highlights in this plaque, when I look at this, is that it speaks loudly to the collaboration that Reading Housing Authority was able to gain with partners from the City of Reading, the County of Berks, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and our partners at the federal level in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We're extremely fortunate in Berks County to have such a wide array of thoughtful and committed human service partners, but still access to transportation is the number one barrier to having residents access those spaces in their agency's home bases. We were extremely excited to be able to offer this space, which is the Shared Social Service Office. We are maintaining a calendar right now of a variety of agencies, including, as you'll see, Berks Community Health Center, who's making use of this space on a regular basis. This space is available to partners at low to no cost, and certainly starting with no cost, because both an obstacle to our participants as well as our partner agencies is we don't want to see anything related to expenses get in the way of promoting service availability in Oakbrook Homes. We are actively seeking partners to occupy this space from a variety of service lines: aging, mental health, physical health, basic needs, substance abuse services, budgeting, financial management, any type of service line that our partners would envision that are needed by the communities that we serve. We would welcome you to make use of this space.
Prior to being the program manager for the Neighborhood Resource Center, for the past 3 years, I was the Resident Opportunity and Self-Sufficiency Service Coordinator, ROSS for short. In this role, it was my job to help residents get past certain barriers. Those residents that were looking to go back to school for high school diplomas, residents that were seeking employment, residents that was needing help with some financial literacy. Also in this role, I had to be part cheerleader and also help push residents a little further than they would normally go and do things that they wouldn't normally do because they didn't feel comfortable leaving the property. I escorted residents to appointments at RAC, also escorted residents to Tech Central and other appointments for them to be able to get comfortable enough for them to be able to travel on their own and go forward and get past the barriers that kept them from succeeding in their life. We are currently looking for a replacement for this position. Someone that doesn't mind going out and knocking on doors, someone that doesn't mind being pushy, someone that is people-friendly and is receptive to new ideas. This role does require a lot of energy, a lot of openness, and someone to listen and be willing to help these residents that just want to get to the next level in their life. The good news for the person that will eventually take on this role is all of the resources will now be under one roof. Welcome to our training room. This is the educational hub for the Neighborhood Resource Center. Thus far, we have partnered with Reading Area Community College, Tech Central, coming soon, iLead. We're also thrilled to welcome any community agencies, educational partners who are willing to bring to our residents any skills that are needed to help them in their path to self-sufficiency.
Welcome to our community kitchen, where we will be offering culinary training with partner organizations and also food demonstrations for healthy meal preparation. Also, this will serve as a location to be able to prepare refreshments for the variety of programming occurring throughout the building. This is our business center, which we also see as a drop-in center for tech help or access to technology to do things like print resumes or scan critical documents that help people gain employment. We see this as a perfect opportunity for partners in higher education, where students could do community-based learning while assisting residents of Oakbrook Homes. This is our second multi-purpose community space where we envision delivering services for older adults and increasing our service array for youth and teens. We're seeking partners to address the needs of the 800 children living in Oakbrook Homes and the more than 100 older adults residing here in this neighborhood.
Hello, my name is Nydia. I am the property manager here at South Campus for the Reading Housing Authority. We are currently serving 650 apartments, and inside of them we have about 1,900 residents. 900 of them are children. Since we've been relocated to a more private area, we are seeing residents, and the information that we're receiving from the residents is that they actually enjoy meeting with us in a private setting versus in the past we were in cubicles. So if someone were to come and speak to us, other people that were also visiting us could hear their private changes that they had. There's a lot of positive things coming from here at South Campus.
Welcome to the Patton Ave Learning Center. This is the first childcare center in the Oakbrook Homes area. Here we will have children 6 weeks until their first day of kindergarten. We have an infant classroom, a 1-year-old classroom, 2-year-old classroom, and 3 preschool rooms. We have different areas from blocks, cars, dramatic play, quiet area, science, math, different types of fine motor activities as well. We do have one classroom that will be an indoor kind of gross motor playground for the children, as our playgrounds will be getting redone to match this beautiful building we're in. Every child who is here in our child care center will be provided with 4 meals a day. They will receive breakfast, an AM snack, lunch, and a PM snack, and that is all free of charge to all the children. We are in the process of enrolling children now, so if you're someone who lives in the Oakbrook area and looking for childcare, please stop by and see my assistant director, Emily, and she will help you get your child enrolled. We are looking to open September 2nd, so we're about 2 weeks out until we will open, but we're really excited to welcome all the children here.
Thank you for joining us on a tour of our new renovated buildings. More to come in 2026. Hope to see you there.
Oh, technology, I need just a moment to get my PowerPoint back. Okay, are we back? Can folks see me? Let's see. I might need a moment of tech help here.
You can take your time, Stacey.
All right, thank you.
All right, Stacey, can you, you'll have to share first and then hit F5 on your PowerPoint. down in the middle, share.
Anders, I'm not there yet. Can you see my screen or my PowerPoint?
We
Yeah.
can see your screen, but not the
You
PowerPoint.
can just hit that F5 and that'll bring it up.
Yeah, it's not. Ta-da. Okay. Right. Thank you for your patience. Okay. All right. I will start with a note of thanks to Joan Freeman of BCTV for her work in preparing the video. We've given dozens of tours over the last year, but it's a game changer for me when the camera is on. So thank you, Joan, for your editing skills. So who does Oakbrook serve? It's a common misconception that people who live in public housing don't work, but that couldn't be further from the truth. More than $3 million is generated annually in tenant paid rents, most of which is earned income. The balance of the operating costs in Oakbrook and throughout the public housing program are earned under our contract with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It's important to clarify that increased rental income by way of people working doesn't help the operation of the housing authority. But what it does do is help to move families towards independence from housing subsidies onto economic self-sufficiency, which in turn frees up housing for others in the Reading community who need it the most. Among the 807 adults are a subset of 116 adults aged 60 and over, many of whom have needs associated with aging and poverty, where despite having affordable housing, indeed the foundation for most things, services are still necessary for ensuring their ability for this population to age in the homes of their choosing. Also among the adult population are 282 persons with disabilities, where access to services is equally challenged by living a distance from the downtown hub. And finally, we have children, 134 infants to school age, 399 children aged 5 to 12, and 241 teenagers. Our Oakbrook youth are fortunate to live in homes where their families can afford the rent, but they also need support in other essential areas: access to nutritious food, reliable meals, and safe, healthy places to learn, play, and grow. The Neighborhood Resource Center stands ready to serve as an additional hub of learning, connection, and possibility for all of those populations. As you saw on the tour, this became the foundation for the Neighborhood Resource Center, a multi-purpose hub where every visit, no matter the need, naturally connects residents to a full spectrum of supports, creating a one-stop space that strengthens well-being, opportunity, and stability across all areas of life. So in the tour, you saw our virtual tour, you saw our various spaces, but things have changed a bit since that video time. And with that, Bill Clemens will take us through the highlights of what these efforts have yielded since we opened the doors in August. Bill?
Good afternoon, everyone. As Stacey said, since the tour, we have expanded with some of the partners that we have. I believe we mentioned Tech Central initially. Since then, Tech Central has completed their high-set program with another one coming in the future, and they are in the process of their first ESL program, which finishes up tomorrow following graduation for both the high-set program and the ESL program. iLead has started, they're actually in their 8th week of a 12-week pre-apprenticeship program, which focuses in on welding and electrical trades, and they meet bi-weekly. As of last week, 3 of their students have interviewed for jobs at Brentwood Industries, and they are expected to be hired upon completion of the pre-apprentice program. CareerLink has begun to meet on a bi-monthly basis with residents, both in our training room and in our social services room. helping residents with the informative program, and also help seeking with job and resume support. RAC has successfully completed 2 workforce development programs, with the second session ending on November 14th. And then lastly, in the training room, we are working with Aging with Comfort, who does bi-monthly Zumba classes for our residents, designed to help them stay active and healthy. What's in progress for the training room is I'm currently working with the Forge program to try to get their mentorship group to come, and another organization, another nonprofit called I Stand, who has a domestic violence. In the community room, we have a youth programming. I mentioned the Church Club that has been extended to December, with hopes of extending that beyond into 2026. Oakbrook now has its own Girl Scout troop. They meet here twice a month, and we currently have 9 participants in that program. The Boy Scout troop will be following up soon. We also have the Junior League of Reading, which facilitates a program called the Lean In Girls on the second Thursday of every month. And this program is a leadership initiative for girls ages 11 through 15. The Food Trust delivers their healthy food program. I think we've done 3 of those so far, between 4 to 6 week programs that focusing in on healthy cooking and healthy living for the residents. And we had an organization called Walk Out Recovery Service, who did a family program, but coming soon, we'll be doing a smoking cessation classes for the residents who are looking to quit smoking. The goal of the community room also we'll be looking into is to have that, to bring a senior center there and have that recognized as an actual senior center, that we can have ongoing program with our senior residents, I believe maybe 3 to 4 days a week. Our social services room is continue to be used by Berks Community Health Center every Wednesday from 8 to 12, assisting residents with insurance enrollment, blood pressure checks, and service reviews. Birth Counseling Services has begun to meet with residents doing counseling bi-monthly. And then the Early Learning Resource Center also began to use the space once a month to help families, assist families with childcare and related needs. Coming soon, we'll have BCAP in the social services room working with families on financial literacy. We haven't got to the business center, so I'll let you go at that until we get back.
Okay, thanks, Bill. While we're incredibly proud of our commitment at RHA to being a service-enriched housing provider, at the end of the day, we are fundamentally a housing provider, which means first that we take our jobs as landlords very seriously. Secondly, it means that we are committed to ensuring that the people that we serve have successful tenancies. So with that, I'll turn it over to Nydia Runkle, our South Campus property manager, which includes both Oakbrook Homes and Sylvania Homes, which is part of our affordable rentals program. Nydia?
Good morning. I just wanted to make sure that you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Nydia, and I am the property manager here for South Campus for about 7 years. Prior to that, I was in Glenside for 8 years, so with the Reading Housing Authority for quite some time. But enough about me. We are here to discuss our residents that we serve. Stacey did touch on some of those numbers in her opening remarks. So I'll start off with a leasing. So I'll walk you through real quick on how we conduct a leasing here. We meet people that have been waiting for some time, some not so long, but they come in and they're excited, they're nervous. Before we would have to conduct the leasing in a cubicle. So while we're trying to discuss, some of the things that they've been wanting to hear, they've been waiting so long for, and they would just get interrupted with someone in the front saying, "Hey, I'm locked out. I need a key to get into my apartment." And we kind of lost some of the our what is it, first impressions with us. So it's kind of like the privacy that we have now. It's so like how it states on Stacey's part, modern. It's private. It allows us to have that one-on-one, like the you can't always judge a book by its cover, but now they get to see like, oh wow, what I thought that I was coming into is a lot different, and it's to benefit the residents that we serve. There's some people that when they come in, they don't know they can pay their rent online through the company that we use. They do report it to the credit bureau, so it helps them build credit. It helps them, something that they weren't expecting to know about during the leasing. We also talk about the resources that we have. So 7 years ago, the leasing was totally different compared to what we're discussing now. We have families that are excited for the childcare center. How do they sign up? So after leasing, they go right downstairs and they speak with Emily or Jasenia about how they can sign up for the childcare here. We also discuss safety and security here. One of the topics that we discuss is, you've waited so long for this opportunity, and this is your home for you and your family. And sometimes, you're responsible for your guests. So when, you're responsible until they leave, some residents don't know that. Residents come here, they have, an event, and that person goes back to their home. But this is your home. We do provide a lot of services with our safety coordinator. He is a retired police officer for the city of Reading. So he actually assists us and the residents on many different scenarios that he has been helping us with. He actually also communicates with two of the Reading police officers. That we have two community officers that overlook all of our properties for the Reading Housing Authority. And during the leasing, I explained, somebody took a bike off your, back porch. Our officers will look at the cameras, will help out the residents so they can feel it's nice when we like solve a case, if you will. We also have resident services here for the residents. She's right across the hall from me. So we introduce the resident at the time of leasing to our service coordinator, where she can help with budgeting. And that's more of a, we'll meet up in a week, because the first day of someone moving in is really hectic. They have a lot of things on their plate. We all know moving is not fun. So Cheryl will meet up with the resident in about a week or two to discuss more services that she can provide them. From leasing, we give them keys to their home, and there's so many things that you may not all see. There's residents that are emotional. They're very excited. They can't believe that the space that we're providing them is bigger than how they've been living, the last 2 years. They've been waiting for this opportunity. So it's very rewarding versus what other people may think, but that's my favorite part, is giving the keys to someone that has been waiting for this opportunity. They're stepping, to build their little foundation so they can move forward in life. Stacey mentioned recollections. We do have, since COVID, well, way past COVID, we have a lot of residents that are seeking employment through like home health care. We have a lot of families right now that are obviously seasonal work. Rent, if you don't know, is based on 30% of your gross earnings. So if you look at yourself and say, what would my rent be based on my 30% of my monthly gross earnings? And that's what our residents pay, 30%. And sometimes it's difficult to manage that. I mean, I know if it was me, it would be difficult to try and manage 30% of what we make. And there's some discounts that residents don't know. Like if your 19-year-old is working, but they're full-time students and they're enrolled at Alvernia or RAC, or they don't have, there's incentives that HUD provides us to give to the residents. So they don't pay that large amount. We want them to continue their education. HUD wants them to continue their education. So that's a benefit for someone that continues to attend college. Go work and go to school and get your education because it won't affect your rent right now. People paying childcare is another discount of the rent. If you are paying childcare to go to work, that's something else that we do behind the scenes that people don't really know. It's another HUD requirement. Medical expenses for our elderly and disabled. So now that we have these private offices, when we conduct their yearly interviews, we tell them, like, save your receipts for your any co-pays for for your medicine, anything like hearing aids that you're buying and anything that you need for yourself, bring that in next year and you'll get a little discount on your rent if you provide that to us. So with the privacy that we have now, we can be more involved and provide more information that we really couldn't before when we were trying to rush through a meeting because things were happening in the front that we just was like we couldn't focus completely on the residents. But what else do I have? I don't know, did I miss anything, Stacey?
I don't think so, Nydia. It's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Mhm.
It seems to go without saying that when families have reliable, affordable childcare, they're empowered to pursue work and stability. So I say this to remind all of us today that it's on us to move the needle so that families never have to choose between caring for children and securing their livelihoods. So back to being housers. We at RHA have a vested interest in being placemakers, where we provide the space in places where people live, where our human service partners can do what they do best. And when it comes to childcare, there was no better partner for us to consider than Opportunity House. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Alyssa.
Thank you, Stacey, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your attendance today. My name is Alyssa Bushke. I'm the CEO of Opportunity House, here today to talk about childcare and more specifically the Patton Avenue Learning Center, which is a really critical component of the Oakbrook Center for Community Services. So at Opportunity House, our mission is to empower individuals to improve their lives. And we do that by offering a really broad range of services that are designed to really lift families and strengthen communities, and also just remove any of the barriers that might stand in the way of stability and long-term success for the people we serve. So beyond our early learning programs, which we'll get to here in a minute, Opportunity House provides shelter to roughly 220 people every single day across our two campuses in Reading and Pottstown. And in addition to shelter services, we operate scattered site housing too throughout the city of Reading, where more than 100 individuals reside in safe, supportive, and long-term housing programs. We also operate a retail thrift store called OpShop, which not only provides affordable goods to the community, but also supports our programs and offers job training programs as well. So one of the earliest and most transformational parts of our mission at Opportunity House began in actually the 1990s. It was 1996 when we opened up the 2nd Street Learning Center on our main campus in Reading. And at the time, many mothers who were staying in our shelter were ready to work or pursue their educations, but they lacked the access to reliable, safe, and nurturing childcare for their children. And without that critical support, their progress towards independence just really stalled. So we created a solution, which was the Second Street Learning Center. And initially, that hosted only 18 children and was really born again to ensure that parents could take those next steps while their littles were receiving high quality, developmentally focused care. And that started in the basement, believe it or not, of Opportunity House. And what began as an immediate response to a pressing need has really grown into a comprehensive early learning program that serves over 120 children every single day, from 6 weeks old all the way up into 13 years old. So, from the very beginning of our work in early childhood, we really believed and continue to believe that when quality childcare is in place, everyone wins. So, like Stacey was saying, parents gain stability and peace of mind. Children will receive consistent care and a strong educational foundation to get them ready for kindergarten. Employers, of course, benefit from a dependable workforce, and communities just like Oakbrook grow stronger when families are supported from the start. So our Second Street Learning Center is especially unique because it is a 4-star quality center, which is the highest quality rating in the state of Pennsylvania, which I think really reflects our commitment to excellence in this work and our focus on preparing every child for kindergarten and entering, for most of our kids, the Reading School District and setting them up for lifelong success. So, because of this strong foundation in this work, and because our mission aligns so closely with the work of Reading Housing Authority, it was truly a no-brainer when we were invited to partner in opening our second early learning site, which is the Patton Avenue Learning Center. So with RHA, we're really expanding access to high quality childcare and strengthening the supports that are available to families through the Oakbrook Center for Community Services, and specifically the Patton Avenue Learning Center with childcare, as you just heard Stacey explain, is the number one barrier. So today, the Patton Avenue Learning Center, which just opened in early September, really stands as a powerful extension of nearly 3 decades of Opportunity House's work in early childhood. And this program really empowers individuals, supports families, and builds brighter futures for their children in the Oakbrook community. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Yesenia Vasquez, who is our director of the Patton Avenue Learning Center, and she is someone who literally brings this mission to life every single day in the work that she's doing there. So Yesenia, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Ms. Alyssa. My name is Yesenia Vasquez, and I am the director here at the Patton Ave Learning Center. We opened our doors September 2nd and welcomed in a bunch of little ones to the center, and we've just been going ever since. Our center is open from 6:30 in the morning to 6 p.m. We're open Monday through Friday. We are accepting children as little as 6-week-old infants all the way up until their first day of kindergarten. Right now, we have about 21 children enrolled in the various classrooms in the center, and we are still accepting more children. Our center has a capacity of 66 children that we can care for. When we opened our doors, we were just pertaining to the residents here of Oakbrook, which most of our families here do live in Oakbrook. But as of lately, we have opened our doors to others in the community as well. We do have families that attend that don't live in Oakbrook, but are within walking distance of the center. It has been something that has helped many families. Daily, I get thanked from the families for caring for their children and just being here with them. Many of the children that have started here in the center have never stepped foot in a childcare. So their families did not feel safe or trusted anyone to care for their children. So being able to open the center here has built that trust with the residents to have their children in a safe space where they're cared for, where they are fed, where they are truly loved. The children here are provided 4 meals a day. They're provided breakfast, AM snack, lunch, and a PM snack. They do not go without eating at all. And that comes free of cost to them through our food program. Parents do not pay extra for that. Many of our families are enrolled in the Early Learning Resource Center, and that's how they help pay for their childcare here. And just kind of a day-to-day here, the children come in, they are welcomed, and they go to their classrooms. We do have lessons that the children do learn every day. We have a curriculum. They're just not coming in and playing all day. They're learning their colors. They're learning their letters. They are learning just how to talk in general and be social. It has been seeing a lot of these children in the last 2.5 months come in not talking to speaking has been one of our greatest accomplishments. With also being here in the Oakbrook neighborhood, not only are we pertaining to the children here, but we were able to hire 3 residents. 2 of our assistant teachers are residents here in the neighborhood, and our kitchen manager and custodian is also a resident here in Oakbrook, which that really warms my heart and makes me happy because I lived here in Oakbrook as a teenager, and I had my first apartment here in Oakbrook. So just kind of giving them that motivation that you can start in public housing, but we all have to start somewhere, and you can make it. Being here, I was able to purchase my first home, so it was really a stepping stone. So that's something that I want my staff to know. And that's also something that I want the families to know here. As I mentioned, we are still taking children, and we are still looking for more staff, for about 3 more teachers, lead teachers to lead our 1-year-old room, and 2 teachers to lead our other preschool rooms. So we love to give tours here, so if you're ever in the Oakbrook neighborhood, please come knock on our door and we will welcome you in for a tour. That's all from me, Stacey.
Thank you, Yesenia. Thank you, Alyssa. At RHA, we often reflect on the foresight of the community planners who shaped Reading's public housing portfolio. Their early decisions, from the construction methods to the thoughtful layout, have truly stood the test of time. Within the 53 acres of Oakbrook Homes lies a 4-acre central block, and it's no coincidence that the facilities we're celebrating today sit at its exact heart. Directly behind the new Neighborhood Resource Center and Family Services Complex is a 3-acre park, which is a lively hub of activity, even as it awaits for much-needed upgrades. Phase 1 of the Oakbrook Recreation Park is nearing completion as we speak today, with upgrades to the baseball field, become complete with dugouts, a scoreboard, an announcer's booth, concession stand and fencing, and a new picnic grove with walking paths, picnic tables, grills, and shade trees. Phase 2 is under design with an estimated completion in spring of 2026, where we will deliver modern accessible playground structures for use by the Patton Avenue Learning Center and the residents, to include bathrooms, a pavilion, and upgrades to our popular splash pad. This slide highlights the major milestones that brought us to where we are today. We began in spring 2021 when we held our earliest community meetings with residents and stakeholders. By October of that year, design was in progress, and by July 2022, construction was underway. Throughout this period, we were actively pursuing and securing critical funding from HUD capital funds, the federal community project funding, the Commonwealth's Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program, and the Community Development Block Grant. These resources formed the backbone of the project's financial plan. In July 2023, construction began on the Neighborhood Resource Center and the Family Services Complex. Then our major milestone in August 2024, we celebrated the grand opening of both of these buildings. A photo from that ribbon cutting is shown here. And the work continues. In September 2024, the Learning Center opened and has since earned its state license, and construction is underway to complete the Oakbrook Recreation Park. Taken together, this timeline shows just how much coordinated effort, partnership, and persistence brought this vision to life, and how much more momentum continues as we move forward. It is a privilege to publicly acknowledge that the supporters who made this achievement possible. And it is one of our organization's greatest honors that this major project earned the backing of leaders from every level of government, confirming that our elected officials believe in the purpose of this work and in strengthening the potentials of the families that we serve. And so we end today with a thank you for joining today at this meeting, and an appeal to you, our partners in health, human services, education, recreation, and other public services, to join in this endeavor. As I noted earlier, at our heart, we are housers. And after we undertake the same project for Glenside, which is on our radar, we need to get back to our core, which is housing. So we're very much hoping that your attendance today indicates that you have an interest in joining us in this effort. We can't promise that our centers are already bursting at the seams, because like everything new, it takes time to build momentum. So please consider joining us, because it's in keeping with your mission to do so, and because you recognize that for every household we help to move to self-sufficiency, the benefit will be derived not just by those who are served, but also for those who are in desperate need of housing, need for affordable housing right now. That concludes our presentation, and we're happy to take questions for myself or for our entire group.
Stacey, thank you. This is such an amazing project. It's transformative for that community and probably for all of Reading, because it shows the possibilities of collaboration and engaging with each other. You shared some of the demographics of the Oakbrook residents. Could you do that again, give those numbers that you gave us before?
Sure. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of take us back to some slides to access those numbers. There are approximately 1,600 residents living in Oakbrook Homes, about half of whom are children. The community is 85% Latino, 89% extremely low income. And I think that's a remarkable number, because at 89, the idea of being extremely low income means that households are earning 30% or less than the area median income. And I think just looking at what we know to be the extraordinary rent costs today, it would be nearly impossible for households to currently living in Oakbrook to find decent quality housing at the incomes that they have. There are more than 100, and specifically there's 112 older adults, so persons age 60 and over, and there are more than 200 persons with disabilities.
Wow. What does it take to get housing at Oakbrook? What are the qualifications?
That's a great question, Dave. Well, first the waiting list has to be open. And in the federal public housing program, households from any location may apply to the jurisdiction's housing authority. And that's an important note, because when we open our waiting lists, we are taking applications from people across the country, because the need for affordable housing is not exclusive to Reading and Berks. So when people apply, when waiting lists are open for public housing, which happens about every 18 months based upon the available units, we are taking those applications over the course of about a week and then running a lottery, because the demand is so high. So in a week's time, we'll take 2,000 to 3,000 applications, run a lottery, and then for the number of people to make the waiting list, it is typically less than 10%, because that 10% number is how many houses that we expect to make available over the next 12 to 18 months. So when somebody moves onto the waiting list, they can wait up to 18 months to be selected. There are income requirements. There are some criminal history screenings. There is a bit of suitability screening that looks at some information about prior tenancy, but there is nothing related to, none of those none of those factors are absolute deal breakers. We are, as a housing authority, we have the ability to apply some local decisions, and we fully believe that we don't want policies that are black and white because experience has told us that when somebody is in a place of having not having quality, affordable housing, lots of other things can happen. So through an interview process, most applicants are found to be eligible.
Yeah, so the intervention of being able to get into the housing is really significant. When do you think the window's going to open up again? Is that going to be sometime soon?
I can't tell you. It's all about unit turnover, and that's really part of what this initiative is all about. There are not currently timelines within the public housing program in the national program. Housing authorities have the ability to apply certain local rules. But it's a challenge to say that timelines would be beneficial to us in the city of Reading when it's only one piece of the puzzle. There needs to be wages that would allow people to rent in affordable units and so on. So I say all that to support the idea that unit turnover is really important to make space available for the people who need housing most. But at the same time, there needs to be housing opportunities for people at various income levels to move through public housing.
Right. Can people outside of the city of Reading move into the Oakbrook?
They can. So through that lottery process, the lottery is selected among all of the applicants from the city of Reading, the surrounding parts of Berks County, and then most frequently from the surrounding counties. But there are people from other states who do apply. When names are placed on a waiting list, people who live within the city, whose application comes from the city of Reading, are given preference.
What's the typical duration of a resident in the Oakbrook housing? Is it a year, 2 years, 5 years?
The average is close to 10 years, but that's considering as well the number of people who have lived in Oakbrook homes for a lifetime. Some of those are generational experiences, and that has been one of the criticisms, I will say lightly, amongst some of my colleagues has been, if we invest so much in Oakbrook homes, what would incentivize people to move? And what we believe is that all people, regardless of their economic circumstances, have a human right to live in quality, decent communities. And so if someone lives in our communities for 10 years or for 10 months, we want them to have that same experience of having a rich, safe, service-enriched, supportive community.
I know that there's some other low-income housing that in the neighborhood around Oakbrook. Can those people make use of the community center services?
Absolutely. The Oakbrook Center for Community Services was built with public housing dollars in part. So it's important that some of our programs are restricted to Oakbrook residents only, or that the primary population is Oakbrook residents. But there is nothing that is to exclude neighboring citizens or guests of the people who live in Oakbrook to attend events.
Do people have to pay? Do people have to pay to go to the childcare center?
Yes, so there is a fee for your child to attend daily, weekly. One thing we do when families come in to fill out the paperwork, they get a tour, they get to meet the teachers, and then we do have applications for the Early Learning Resource Center that will help them apply for funding. Now, majority of the time, because of living in Oakbrook, they do qualify for the funding for childcare. So they're paying anywhere between $5 to maybe $60 a week for childcare.
Okay. Stacey, by my count, you have over a dozen partners in this project. You want to talk about that a little bit and what it took to do that? That's amazing. You're muted.
You're muted, Stacey.
Muted.
Ooh, sorry about that. I would think Bill probably mentioned about a dozen, but I would say we probably have closer to 3 or 4 dozen partners if we put pen to paper on that. I think the basis for that is that it's been important to us at RHA that we are good members of the human service community and the health and human services and public service community. So when the time came to say we're going to do this, we had established relationships, and we had partners that joined from day one. That said, there's a lot of what we're doing at this undertaking where we're looking for people we have not, or entities that we may not have worked with before, because our longstanding relationships, while they are the foundation for this, we know that there are human service providers and healthcare providers and education providers that could watch today's video and have absolute ideas as to how they would make use of this space. So we are very grateful to our existing partners and very hopeful for new ones.
Could you talk a little bit more about who the partners that you'd be looking for? What services in particular you think you need that you're not having now?
Sure. So I'll start with youth. I think that's the first one that comes to mind, and Bill, I'll ask you to jump in then. But the youth services, we have long enjoyed a relationship with all of the Boys and Girls Club. So in Oakbrook, all of it is contiguous to our campus and has been a great resource for many of our youth in Oakbrook. But there's a lot of youth in Oakbrook, and all of it is only able to serve a certain number of students. And there's so, for example, with adding the chess club to that complement, we saw youth engaged in the chess club that we are not quite sure that same experience is being had in our partnership with all of it. There's a whole host of other things that we hear that our kids might like to do. And Bill, why don't you jump in from there with youth, but then talk a little bit about the aging resources that we would like to court.
So I've been looking at the Oakbrook Youth Foundation. The Oakbrook Youth Foundation, they are former residents of Oakbrook. They come back to do things, different events, back to school events. They feature haircuts. They are looking to do events with some of the youth here. Basketball, they're interested in helping out with the baseball field and other things that have to keep the kids out of trouble. Where I also had looked at another organization that wanted to come in to kind of mentor some of the kids and help them be better citizens. A lot of these things are still evolving due to logistical things and whether or not they are a good fit. Some of them kind of cross paths and just not something that we can use at this particular point in time, and we really don't want to double up what a lot of the services and have people, have them competing with each other. Pretty soon we're going to be, when the baseball field open up, we're going to be looking to bring in, different organizations so we can have a fully functional baseball team coming in, especially once the concession stands open up. I think that's going to be great. We'll have our own little baseball town in this little corner of the city, but there are just so many. And again, we're open up to many of the ideas. We want people to come through, take a tour. We can, show them around and get the ideas of, how they could best fit or help this community and see if something like that will work for us.
I'd add, thinking about our families that are that are very prevalently single female headed households. Domestic violence is the one nut that we can't seem to crack when it comes to safety for residents in Oakbrook Homes. And while we currently enjoy a great relationship with Safe Berks, that it continues to be a challenge for the women, but not just exclusively, but the women that we serve in experiencing victimhood, and anything that will help surrounding younger mother, female self-actualization types of work, I think would be really beneficial as well to deliver at Oakbrook.
Are there particular types of healthcare services that you find are needed or not being provided adequately right now?
Did you say healthcare, Dave?
Yeah.
I don't know that I can answer that. I do think that because of having our Oakbrook federally qualified health center nearby, there's a lot of good energy surrounding with that relationship.
So there's a good partnership there.
Yes.
You had talked about the job training opportunities for people. Talk a little bit more about that and what happens to them once they go through the job training. Do they get employment? Do they have to move out of Oakbrook?
Nydia, do you want to tackle that one? What happens as people's income increases in public housing, flat rents, and so on?
Mm-hmm. So, to answer your question, we have, let's just say, 5-bedroom units. We have 24 of them. So in those households, we can say 3, 4, 5 adults, and everyone's income is 30% of what they make per month gross earnings. There is something called flat rent, which is the maximum that we can charge for the bedroom size. And it's funny that this question was asked just like 3 days ago. One of the residents reached out to me and said, what do I do to buy a house? Because the flat rent is kind of high and they want to start the process. So I sent them the information for our new Ross coordinator to work with Bill Clemens to see what it looks like for her. But yeah, the flat rent, we have many residents that once they reach that point, it's like, let's see what's out there. Like I said earlier, resident services coordinator Cheryl Lewis will reach out to the family and get her connected with resources in the community, also with Bill Clemens. But residents more so make their own decisions on, this is not for me anymore. And those stories are equally as amazing as their first day moving in and seeing the house. So
I just want to piggyback.
Go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
I just want to piggyback on some of the programs you mentioned, what happens afterwards. So when RAC finished up their program, we had CareerLink here. So once they finished with that program and they did some resume writing and some mock interviews, CareerLink was here to help them start the next process in looking for jobs. And the same will happen when those that don't find jobs through the iLead program, CareerLink will be here to help them also locate jobs once they finish that program.
Stacey, you had mentioned that transportation was an issue. And a lot of what you're doing is to try to resolve that issue by not having to have people go far to get a service. And I know part of what we did when we created the Oakbrook Health Center was because people were ending up having to walk a long distance to either catch a bus to get to Reading Hospital or whatever. How are you trying to address the transportation issues in other ways? Is there other things that you're trying to do with that?
Sure. If there's something that we can't deliver on site, we have one special project that will look at transportation to jobs. And Bill, do you want to share the information regarding that transportation partner?
It is PA Commuter. So they have a program to where they can match residents with other people that have transportation. So in other words, they have a computer system that says that if I needed to go to Fifth Street Highway to go to Walmart, they have a way to connect you with other commuters that's going in that direction. And they have a system of, making sure that, it's a safe, safe for you to get there, that the person you're driving with is safe. And then you do the same thing coming back. It's a pretty good program. Haven't had, it's in the beginning stages for us to get them there. So we haven't had too many people here to start to use it because, again, trying to get out or not wanting to leave. But with any other program, it takes time to build up, for the word to get out and for people to start to trust the process for it to be, widely successful.
One of the people who submitted a host of comments here was Bill Lippman from a couple different organizations. And one he talked about was trying to engage Oakbrook residents in the County Earth Day Festival and other sort of events and activities. If somebody has an event like that and would like to reach out, who do they go to at Oakbrook to try to arrange for that transportation to get people there? Is it you?
I'll put the that last slide back up, and that has Bill's contact information. Bill is the program coordinator. So putting all of the pieces together to bring these services on site and to develop those relationships, Bill is the point of contact for that.
There it is. Now we're going to swab you, Bill. We've had several people ask, what could they do in terms of getting a tour of the facility to see what it looks like? Who did they reach out to, Stacey, to do that? Bill? Okay. So you have his contact information. So if you're interested in actually seeing the facilities, seeing these opportunities that are now being provided, contact Bill Clemens and he can make the arrangements for you to get it. We've got several organizations I think are very interested in trying to figure out how to partner.
Wonderful.
And what do they do about that? Should they reach out to you, Stacey, about that?
I think it's starting with Bill, and then from there we will go down a discussion of memorandums of agreement. As we mentioned, I think through this, there at this point in the process, we are not looking for any cost sharing relationship. If there becomes a time where we can become a bit of a solid location for long-term relationships, of course we may need at some point the resources to keep the place clean, to keep the lights on and all of those other things. So I think the long-term vision for us is there could be some modest resource sharing, but that is not on our radar, whatsoever at this time.
Okay. Just a quick random question, given what the Pennsylvania went through over the last couple months. Did the state and federal budget impasse have any impact on you guys? Is there any consequences for these programs or for whatever else you're doing?
A slight delay in funding for our public housing program and our Section 8 housing choice voucher program. But the Department of Housing and Urban Development did a good job at anticipating what was coming and front loading some funds.
Keep going.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in January. With a continuing resolution, won't miss this opportunity to ask for everybody on this call now and everybody who views in the future to embrace the idea that affordable housing touches everybody who works in the human services field. Everybody that all agencies are serving are likely working with people who have some housing instability or are a paycheck away from housing instability. And from Alyssa's wheelhouse in emergency housing services to long-term sustainable assisted housing, it is at risk. And we need advocacy, not just from the housing world, but from every sector in making certain that this critical safety net is supported through the budgeting process.
Yeah, housing is a major challenge, I think, for a lot of communities. I know across Berks County, it's a big challenge. The County Planning Commission is doing some work on trying to promote housing. I think there's a wide variety of housing rather than just, pretty big houses in the suburbs. Um, And I know that at one point there was talk about there being a shortage of 5,000 houses of stable housing in the city of Reading. Is that something on your agenda at all, Stacey, moving ahead? Is that something?
Sure. As I noted, our next, one of the items that's next on our radar is to replicate the Oakbrook Center for Community Services in Glenside, so that at this point, helping people voluntarily move through public housing is really the only thing that we can do to free up affordable resources. But we, Reading Housing Authority, are very much in the planning stages for what comes next to help expand affordable housing options in the city of Reading.
So you're thinking about taking this concept to Glenside?
Absolutely.
That's great. It's such an amazing partnership and transformative for the people in Oakbrook who've been sort of neglected for a long time. So this is really great. I don't know, Stacey, if you have we're a little close to closing time here. I don't know if you have any final comments, you or anybody in the team wants to say anything. Bill looks like he wants to.
Yes, and during my initial I guess walkthrough, I forgot to mention that we also have a business center that we are looking towards higher learning institutions to help come in and do some work with the residents as far as job searches, resume writing, interview prep, and career readiness. Along with that beautiful kitchen that you saw downstairs. We're trying to work with Tech Central to bring some of their programs here to utilize that kitchen and possibly some other agencies in the future to be able to utilize the kitchen more so to help, some of the families do some healthy cooking. I would like to bring in, or if any of the volunteers, people want to volunteer to come in to help do some workshops with the kids, maybe on a weekend, teach them how to, cook certain kinds of foods. And then I really neglected to mention the pantry that we have Help and Harvest once a month. Last week was their third distribution since we opened, and because of the situation with the food stamps, they saw a rise in this last one in the in families. So now they want to go from once a month to weekly, which is a great thing, and Nydia mentioned Christy, which again was hired to take over my old position as the raw service coordinator, um, uh, which is going to also be a great help because now she can work one-on-one with the residents, looking at those financial literacy things and employment and education while I continue to bring in the programs to help keep this up and running and expand it out. So we can, be really great at trying to get this community up and running and get people moving through, bringing in more people, some of the kids that's growing up, keeping them busy, and keeping them safe.
So you mentioned trying to deal with the institutions of higher education. Can you be a little bit more detailed about what you're looking for them to do?
So the business center that we have downstairs, we want to outfit it with computers and other forms of electronic devices, so that way we can bring the residents that want to do, that don't have access to computers at home, residents that can't go to a doctor visit, so they need a place to do some telehealth. Residents that, again, that need help with resume writing, so we want to engage with the the Institutes of Higher Learning to maybe some of their business students to come in and do these things with the residents here on the property. So that way, it's easier for them to get to it. Or if the residents want to come in because they have it's shorter, they can come in and have access to that stuff if there's no one around to do it. But it would preferably preferred if we can get, maybe Alvernia or Albright, any of the institutions actually that, was willing to, have some of their students come in and do these things for us. That would be a great help.
Yeah, that could be a great asset, a real opportunity for both the students and for your
Yes.
clients.
Yes.
Stacey, we have a question about if somebody wants to volunteer to do something for you guys, who do they reach out to?
Bill is the go-to guy right now.
Billy.
I'm a one-stop shop right now, so I can use all the help I can get. Call me.
The way to add to that right now actually is to say that we are funding these services right now through, meaning Bill and the operation, through our public housing program. And it's important for me to say that every dollar that we spend in doing services, we're not spending on housing. So on that very last slide, you will see that there is a logo that may be unfamiliar to most, which is Foundation Housing and Services. Foundation is our Reading Housing Authority new not-for-profit affiliate. So it's just launching right now, and we have developed that in order to have an avenue to do some development and some charitable fundraising, so that we have a vehicle to keep this going because of the uncertainty surrounding the HUD funding, the federal funding, and not knowing the stability of monies to do more services. That's our intention there. So in addition to services, we will be undertaking some development specifically under the not-for-profit so that we can keep the lights on. And when we get really busy or expand to Glenside, that we have the ability to pay somebody besides Bill to put together all these pieces. Bill does not have the manpower to do a lot of the recruitment for residents. That's Christy, our new service coordinator. That's her role. But again, we really do need our partners in the various communities to help us get the word out, bring folks to the centers, and then deliver the services at the centers.
Is there a way people can find out more about the foundation and how to give them money?
That would start with me. I've noted Arlene Daly, who is our consultant, on this slide. So Arlene's an option, but also I would love the opportunity to talk directly to anybody who has either an interest or a connection for charitable support.
And as we wrap up here, do you have any final comments you want to make?
I'm just grateful to work in this Reading Berks community. On behalf of Reading Housing Authority, our housing programs are I think Nydia used the words about grateful and humbled to work in this housing space, and our housing space is made all the better because of the people that we serve and the partners that we have in the Reading Berks area. So thanks to everybody who was moved to join us today.
Well, thank you very much. This is such an empowering conversation. It's neat on the level of what it's doing for the residents of Oakbrook, but it's also neat because of what it says about the Berks community coming together to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. The fact that you brought all those organizations, you said maybe as many as 36 organizations mm-hmm. coming together. That's pretty incredible for a community that has struggled with that over some period of time. So congratulations, not just on what you've done with the center, but for what you're sending, the message you're sending to the broader community. So thank you.